Guys, the NBA season is almost here. I'm so excited to start talking basketball and the NBA, of course. And today I'm going to do a game called the NBA phrase game. That's what I'm calling it. And pretty much I'm going to go through all 30 NBA teams. And then I'm going to pretty much let you know what phrase or word or essentially anything that came to mind as soon as I looked at this team and what I thought about them and what should be talked about with them for the upcoming season. So we will go through all 30 teams really quickly. I'll try not to spend more than a minute on each team so we can get through this. And obviously we'll be talking a lot more basketball as the season, approaches and training camp starts and all this good stuff. But for now, let's have some fun. Let's go through all 30 NBA teams. Here we go. All right, we'll start with the Boston Celtics. The first phrase that came to mind to me was win or tank. What are the Celtics going to do? Tatum is out probably for the whole year. He keeps talking about possibly coming back, but they've also lost two starters. Porzingis is gone. Drew Holiday is gone. So the team is not going to be as good as they were last year. But what do? Do they look at this as a reset year where maybe they get a high draft pick that they could now, kind of hope can replace the Drew Holiday or the Porzingis for next year once Tatum is fully healthy? Or do they kind of go for it this year? And obviously their ceiling won't be as high without Tatum and those other two former starters. But then maybe when Tatum gets healthy and if he comes back, now they're maybe the 5th or 6th seed in the East and maybe they can still compete in the playoffs. What will they do? So that's why I chose win or tank. All right, the Nets. First thing I thought of was what we got. What do we got? They had 4 or 5 first-round draft picks in this last draft, and they used them all, which is unheard of. Teams usually don't do that. So now, this season, obviously no one expects the Brooklyn Nets to be any good, but what do they got? I mean, is there any one of these 5 rookies that's going to, take the reins and become the star of the Brooklyn Nets? And if so, at least that gives them clarity moving forward for what they can build around, because right now it's just a whole bunch of random pieces. It's like just having a whole bunch of puzzle pieces, but not for the same puzzle. None of this is going to fit together. It's basically just, hey, just go out there and let's see who can ball. Who are we keeping? Who are we moving on from? And who are we hopefully, for their sake, building around? All right, the Knicks. All I could think of was kind of like opportunity with them. So I just said NYC hustle. The time is now. I grew up in New York City. If you've ever been in New York City, everyone moves fast and things got to happen. And this is the time for the Knicks. They got to put that New York City hustle in them, and things got to happen now. The East is wide open. They almost made the finals last year, but they didn't make it. They lost to the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals. And of course, it was, a pretty close series. That first game, honestly, the Knicks should have had it, but Halliburton Magic took over and the Pacers got it done, and the Pacers ended up in the finals. They were the better team throughout the series. So now the Knicks, the Pacers are injured. The Celtics are injured. The Cavs are, the team, I guess that's the favorite in the East, but they haven't really proven it yet. So your time is now. You got to hustle and you got to make it happen right now, New York. All right, the Sixers. So this is the Eastern Conference Atlantic Division that we're going through right now. Embiid. That's really all I had. Embiid. So obviously reports are that he's in shape and we've done this dance before. I need to see it before I believe it. But if he is in shape and if he is healthier because he's lost some weight and the Sixers are, they are stacked. If you look at that roster, it is pretty stacked and they could definitely be the team that makes it out of the Eastern Conference if Embiid can just stay healthy. They added VJ Edgecombe, the guard from Baylor, and he looks good. So they have weapons there. McCain has an injury that was reported today by the Sixers. Not sure how long that timeline is, but assuming he can get back at some point this season, he can be coming off the bench if he's not starting, and that team is loaded. I think the Sixers can actually make a run this year if they're healthy. So it all depends on Embiid. The Toronto Raptors, rebuilding the rebuild? That's what I had, because it seems like ever since they won the finals, the championship in 2019, they, that very next year was a COVID year where they competed hard. They played the Celtics and lost in the semifinals of that playoff run that was in the bubble. But ever since then, they waited too long to trade Pascal and OG, and then they've been rebuilding, and the rebuild is still going. So what are we doing here? So this year, either they take that leap, they traded for Brandon Ingram last year at the deadline. He didn't even play a game yet for them. He was injured with an ankle all of last year once they acquired him. So it's a new team now with Brandon Ingram, a brand new starter. RJ Barrett's still there. What are they going to be? Is this the rebuild that they were hoping for? Will it be something, or is this just another season of let's see what these young guys got going on? But the rebuilding is taking too long at this point, so they need to make something happen this year. All right, the Bulls. I just put, I don't know. I could not think of a phrase for them. I couldn't think about anything with the Chicago Bulls because it seems like they're just a 41-41 team every year. This year seems no different. They haven't traded Vucevic. No one's expecting them to go far in the playoffs. Buzelis is a nice young piece, but is he a star? So they really just and they need more games, I guess, to figure out what's going on there. Kobe White is pretty nice, but they're missing a star. They're just kind of in limbo, and they need to just pick a direction. Either trade some draft picks to get that star and get it going, or trade Vucevic and start just going completely young. Trade Kobe White, gather some draft picks, but then that means that it'll be a rough few seasons for them before they get good. So we'll see. I don't know. That's what I put for them. The Cavs, are we there? Because the Cavs last year seemed like they were there, being the 1 seed in the East, and then they didn't go very far. The Pacers handed it to them, and the Cavs were out in the second round of the playoffs. So at this point, this has to be their year for them too. It's them or the Knicks in the East, it seems like. And so the Cavs, last year were the best record in the Eastern Conference, and not much came from that. So we'll see where they go from here. The Pistons, I put motorcade because it's all about Cade Cunningham. If this guy is a alpha and the best player and has the potential to become possibly the best player in like the Eastern Conference, now they're rolling, but it's a lot of pressure on him. The Malik Beasley loss this offseason will hurt them. He was the sixth man of the year last year. And that situation was so weird. And I don't really know. I feel bad for Malik Beasley because I don't think now the reports are that he wasn't involved in this gambling, but cost him a lot of money. So who knows? But they seem like their roster got a little bit worse, and they're going to have to bank on the young guys like Cade taking another step, and he's already been pretty good. So we'll see if he can do that. And if he does, at least you feel like the Pistons have a runway here for, to build around him and get some better players to make, to essentially be beside him and run the Pistons forward. All right, the Pacers, painful reset. With Halliburton out, kind of changed the whole trajectory of the team. Surprised that they didn't re-sign Miles Turner. He went to Milwaukee, and so now the Pacers, we're looking at a team that was in the finals last year and took it to Game 7, potentially now missing the playoffs in a weak Eastern Conference. So I don't know what to think with them, but it just seems like this is a painful reset time for them. I don't have high expectations for the Pacers. Pascal is still a great, great player, but essentially he's doing it alone now. And even when he was in Toronto and he had, I would say, better pieces around him than he will this season with the Pacers, they didn't go very far. So I don't see that happening. I think it's just going to be a painful reset for them. But I think once Halliburton comes back, then next offseason they can maybe try to get some other free agents to go alongside Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, and they can try to make another run for the finals. All right, the Bucks, the Milwaukee Giannis's. That's what I have because everything is on Giannis. This team has finals potential with Giannis, and without Giannis, they are not a playoff team. So everything rides on Giannis Antetokounmpo, not just this season. It seems like for the whole franchise. And good for Giannis. He's remained loyal. I respect that a lot with guys when they stick with the team that drafted him and they show that loyalty. And it seems like Giannis has that. It seems like it's just the media trying to rattle the feathers there to make him want to request a trade or get out of there. But so far, I think Giannis has handled it like an absolute pro. And hopefully for the Bucks, they have a good year. I think if they stay healthy, they will make the playoffs, in my opinion, and have a chance. If you have Giannis, that's the best player in the Eastern Conference in a year where some of the other best players in the Eastern Conference are injured or would barely be getting back to playing, like in Tatum or Halliburton, who will likely be out the whole season. I think it's already been announced that he's not coming back this season. So, Giannis, could he do it by himself? And if he does, that'll be, pretty incredible for that franchise. But, getting Miles Turner is not nothing for the Bucks. So that's a pretty good move for them, at least to try to make up for, obviously losing some other free agents. So Hawks, Atlanta Hawks, trade Young. Oh, I like that one. That was catchy. So instead of Trae Young, it's Trade Young because I think this Atlanta Hawks team has a lot of young talent on the squad. And I think they've had multiple chances with Trae Young with Trae Young as their star, and maybe they've peaked. So maybe why not, since the rest of your roster is pretty young, you trade Trae Young and get yourself some more assets to, trade him to a team that needs a point guard that, has some cap space, can make it happen, or is looking for a star. I might get to that a team soon. But then from there, now you get young assets, and now your timeline for this Atlanta Hawks team suddenly looks promising. Risa Shea looked pretty good last year, the rookie pick from last year. If he keeps improving, and now you got these other young guys as well, this year you could use it as a chance for the young guys to get their feet wet, continue to improve, maybe sneak into the playoffs. Last year, they just barely missed the playoffs. So maybe this year they sneak into the playoffs. Now you have young player assets coming back as well. We'll see. I think the Hawks have a bright future ahead. All right, the Hornets, leap time. It's time. They've been gathering assets. They've been doing it right, it seems like, the past couple seasons. You have LaMelo Ball. Then you have Brandon Miller there, who's pretty nice as well. They've got pieces. They just drafted Knipple, who's solid, I think. So I think it's time for the Hornets to make a leap. They've missed the playoffs I don't even know how many years in a row now. I think it's time. This year, I think they can sneak into the playoffs, maybe even surprise some people and be a 5 or 6 seed if they actually get it all together. All right, the Heat, heating up for a trade. The Heat, it seems like, are always looking for a superstar, aren't they? Right now, after Jimmy Butler's gone, they have Bam Adebayo, they have Tyler Hero, but maybe that's the trade you make with Atlanta. I'm just saying, it's very unlikely probably, but maybe the Heat are like, you know what? We could use Trae Young down here. We pair him with Bam Adebayo. They can run the pick and roll. Maybe you dump the Tyler Hero salary. It goes to Atlanta and a couple picks. And next thing you know, I think that would be a good trade for both teams. So we'll see what happens with the Miami Heat. But I think they're always just loading up for a trade to get their next superstar. All right, the Magic. No dark magic, healthy magic. Because tough times for Orlando the past few years, where I feel like they've had potential and they had good teams and they play hard, but they just haven't been able to stay healthy. So I'm wishing them and hoping that we get a healthy Magic team this year. And if we do, with the acquisition of Desmond Bane, this is a team that could be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference. And we'll see. I mean, Paolo Banchero is nice like that. He is, solid, as solid as they come. I'd say he is that tier above Cade Cunningham that the Pistons hope Cade can reach possibly this year. And Paolo's done it. And he did it last year. He led that team when he was healthy. And I think he's, if they have Bane now and if they stay healthy, I think the Magic could be a sneaky dark horse in Eastern Conference. The Wizards, give us some sorcery. They just need anything at this point. The Wizards need someone to become a star. If it's Alex Sarr, their number 1 pick from last year, or any of these other young guys, that would be nice. They always seem to be drafting high. I don't expect them to even make the playoffs this year, but if they could just get some consistent play from the young guys at least, then maybe they could, see that upside coming through. All right, we move to the Western Conference. The Golden State Warriors. Steph's last chance? I don't think it's actually Steph's last chance, but I think he's at an age now where he is the outlier for playing this good into his age now. He's, going mid-30s, going slowly into his late 30s. LeBron's obviously a one of one with what he's doing into his 40s. So we can't expect that from Steph, but we can expect Steph to at least, maybe outlast someone like a Draymond Green who plays a completely different style of basketball. So the reason this is Steph's last chance is because I think after this season, I don't know that there's much left with Draymond Green after this season. The Jimmy Butler is a little bit older now as well. And so it really depends on what they do with Kuminga. If they can get any valuable asset back for Kuminga, if, let's say, a veteran team decides to move off some of those guys and start going in a younger direction, and they trade for Kuminga, but they give the Warriors back 2 experienced, good bench guys, role players / maybe starters, just to shed off some salary, and then they pay Kuminga or something like that, maybe. But at this point, I love Steph Curry. But I think he needs help, and I don't know that there's much there with the Warriors right now, unless those other young guys, like I said, like Moody takes a completely brand new leap, and maybe Kuminga actually ends up gaining the trust of Steve Kerr. So we'll see what happens there. The Clippers, all I said was Kawhi, because the Clippers, I'm willing to argue they had possibly one of the best off seasons, and they would be title contenders for sure. But this Kawhi news with the whole plant and Steve Ballmer and all this stuff, it's just a distraction right now. And it's up in the air because we don't know what's going to happen. If you tell me right now, nope, Kawhi will be healthy, nothing's going to happen, no suspensions, no anything. The Clippers are just playing this full season. All that speculation of whatever those reports were is out the window. I mean, I would give them a really good fighting chance to win the whole thing this year, because I think they are built very well. They got some pieces back, in the deal with Norm Powell, trading him. So now I think it's just a matter of let's see what happens with the whole, Ballmer and Kawhi stuff. So we'll see. The Lakers, there's King James, and then I wrote down Drama King James, because if they don't get off to a hot start, and if this doesn't look good, I think Drama King James is going to show up, and he does it the best that he does, in some backhanded ways or a tweet here and there, or he's going to find a way to get the attention all about him again if things don't go how he likes. And so we will see. Luka's in much better shape. That's a plus for them. But I do think that with LeBron, it's tricky. It's tricky. He's, there's no really trading him. I don't know what's going to happen. But I can just tell you that unless things go perfect, I don't see a world in which we don't have some drama coming out of King James camp. I'll put it like that. All right, the Suns, Phoenix Suns. Less is more. Yeah, they had the big three with Bradley Beal and, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And now Bradley Beal is on the Clippers and Kevin Durant's on the Rockets. And that may seem like a downgrade for them because they've lost two stars, superstar with KD. But really, having Dylan Brooks there and having, other guys come in, Jalen Green now there coming over from Houston, maybe less is more. And I do actually think that the Phoenix Suns will be a good team this year. I don't think they're going to be championship worthy because the Western Conference is really tough, but I think they'll be solid. And I think Devin Booker's still a star. And I think I like at least the Phoenix Suns moving off of that big three idea and just, saying, all right, this one didn't work out. We're moving ahead. All right. The Sacramento Kings. I said missing one, a king. So the Kings are nice, but Sabonis, they're kind of missing a king. They're missing that lead guy. And so I don't have high expectations for the Sacramento Kings, but maybe there's a trade there. Maybe they find a way to, to do it or something. But DeMar DeRozan and Sabonis, I love DeMar. He's my favorite player in the NBA, actually. But, I just don't see it with Sacramento. We'll see. All right. Here, we're getting down to the last few. And some of the good teams are coming up right here. Here we go. Nuggets. Jokic versus everybody. I think Jokic is the best player in the NBA. And I think this year, the Nuggets have a real good chance to win the title. It's them and the Thunder at the top because Jokic actually got some help this offseason. Believe it or not, a move as simple as Jonas Valanciunas going there, and you can give him 10 minutes a game where Jokic can maybe rest. That is going to be huge if you could just hold it down and give Jokic a breather. And again, I do like what the Nuggets did this offseason. They bring back Bruce Brown. I think that will be helpful. The Michael Porter Jr. trade was huge for them because now they get Cam Thomas, another good shooter. I like the Nuggets a lot. And I think it's Jokic versus everybody because I think this guy's been the best player in the NBA the past 3 or 4 seasons. The year that he lost the MVP to Embiid, I think it was all about narrative. I think Jokic still, that was Jokic's year as well, in my opinion. And so we'll see. Last year, SGA was well-deserved, but that Embiid Jokic year, I think it was just people were tired of voting for Jokic. So we'll see how that goes. All right, the Wolves. I don't really mean this, but I put hot seat Finch because their head coach is incredible. He is awesome. But the problem is that the Wolves have made the Western Conference Finals back-to-back years, and they don't have much to show for it other than that. So what I'm saying is if they get to that point again, I mean, I love Chris Finch, but something has to change if they keep getting to the same point and not making it. And I also think it depends on matchups, because if they end up playing OKC in the second round and they're bounced out in the second round, then technically they took a step back. So it's tough. It's really tough. This is what happens. It's just a tough league. I love Chris Finch. I do think he's a great, great head coach, but I just think sometimes it's what happens because there has to be a change. Obviously, you don't want to keep going in the wrong direction. And I mean, they have a lot of potential and not a lot of talent. So we'll see what happens with the Wolves. That was my first thought, though, when they came up. All right, the Thunder, back to back. That's all I gotta say. I mean, pretty simple. They won the championship last year. Can they go back to back? I think that's their only goal, and I think that's all they should be focused on. All right, the Blazers, stock blazing up. I like the Portland Trail Blazers. I like what they're doing. Dame comes back. He's rehabbing there. Jrue Holiday, and they got a young squad that actually was really good defensively last year. With adding Jrue Holiday, that defense is going to be better. And I like in football, with basketball, I still think defense wins championships. And I think the Blazers are going to make the playoffs. I think they will be, yes, maybe a 6, 7, or 8 seed. I'm not saying they're going to be a home court advantage team, but I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that defense is going to be improved another step this year, which is already good. And I think they'll shut down some teams and be able to score enough points to beat them. So stock blazing up. All right, the Jazz, ready for the trade deadline already, because I think they have a lot of tradable pieces. They just pretty much announced today that Walker Kessler, I think it was announced yesterday that Walker Kessler is not going to get an extension. So if you're not going to extend this guy, what are you doing? You're probably going to trade him, get something back for him. Colin Sexton, get something back for him. So I think the Jazz are going to be one of those players that, they're going to be very busy answering calls come trade deadline. All right, last division here. The Dallas Mavericks, I put all part of the plan. Not really. I don't buy Nico Harrison's all part of the plan, and neither should you. He did not envision getting the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. People have conspiracies and all that. I'm not doing the conspiracy theory thing. I'm just saying the Luka trade was still stupid. I'm sorry. I don't care that it ended up getting you Cooper Flag. The way that was handled, so stupid. And I'm not going to reward Nico Harrison for how that was handled. But at the same time, sometimes you need a little luck. And I think they ended up getting the number 1 pick. So I think it worked out pretty well for them now. But again, it's just one of those things that it's funny how it worked out that way. I think if the lottery could have gone completely a different way for them. And let's say they ended up with the 10th pick in the draft. Now suddenly it doesn't look as good, right? So we'll see what happens there. But I just put all part of the plan because that's what he likes to say. And he said that when they got the Cooper Flag deal or pick, but you can't predict that. Sorry. All right, the Rockets, suddenly in limbo. Fred VanVleet tears his ACL. Everything seemed to be going great for the Rockets. They acquired Kevin Durant. They seem to be a title contender. And yes, maybe Fred VanVleet doesn't put up crazy numbers that you would think, well, if you take away, his stats, it doesn't seem like they're, going to drop off that much. But it's not just about the stats. It's about the leadership. It's about the ball handling. It's about running the offense, having a guy that can essentially quarterback the offense in the half court when games get tight in the playoffs. And Freddie VanVleet can do that. Now you don't have him. Now the Rockets are in limbo. Who's going to replace him? They're already pretty much capped out. So it's going to be really tough. But maybe they make a trade to get somebody to try to quarterback the offense, but tough situation for the Rockets. We'll see how they handle that. All right, the Grizzlies, I just thought this was funny, but I put, Ja know what I mean? Or more like Ja know what I mean? It's all about Ja. Ja Morant, very exciting young player. But, his three-point shooting is not good. And that has been kind of exposed the past couple seasons. And, you know what I mean? Like, he's got to improve that. If he improves that, then I think he can take another step. But right now, if this is the Ja Morant that we're going to get for the next 3 seasons, I mean, I think he's a borderline all-star, but not all-NBA or not a superstar that you build around. And so I think he needs to improve that. We'll see if he has and how the Grizzlies come out this season. All right, the Pelicans. I said zag and trade Zion. This is the thing. everyone's looking at these pictures of Zion Williamson suddenly in shape. Wow, he looks great, doesn't he? Yes, he certainly does. But also, I looked this up yesterday, and let me see Let me see if I can find this. Okay, yeah, here we go. He signed an extension in 2022 with the final 3 years salaries non-guaranteed due to injury and weight stipulation that must be met to become fully or partially protected. His salary for the 25-26 season, this season, which is over $39 million, is fully guaranteed. But future salaries for the 26-27 and 27-28 seasons are conditional on meeting weight-in criteria and games played benchmarks. What does this tell you? He got in shape so he can guarantee himself his money for the next 2 years. I don't like that. You need to be in shape because you want to be the best athlete at your position that you can be. So if this is your only motivation, no, look, don't get me wrong. The money should be motivating for sure. But the greatest of players, Kobe, LeBron, it's not the money that's motivating these guys. It's the championships. It's the wins. And so in my opinion, that says a little bit about his character right there, right? All these years they've been asking him to get in shape, and he hasn't really done it. Now suddenly he's in shape, and everyone's crowning him like, wow, what a great job. Look at all this progress. Or, maybe he's getting in shape just so he can collect a paycheck, and that tells you about where his priorities are. And again, it's their professions. I'm not really blaming him. Like, good for him. Like, get in shape so you can get paid. Sure. But I'm saying as a GM, if I'm trying to build a franchise with winners, that's not a winning attitude. So that's, winning financially, again, all great job. But I want winners that want to win on the basketball court and win with trophies. And so, I'm just saying, if Zion gets traded, this might be the time to do it. Pelicans, maybe trade Zion right now, because I don't see you guys winning a championship. And I just think that actually future and long term, that might be a really smart decision, especially if you can build with young talent now moving forward. All right, last but not least, Wemby Palooza for the San Antonio Spurs. It's all about Wemby, right? So he's coming back from a blood clot. All signs seem to point that he's healthy and looking good, and he's gotten stronger. If he stays healthy, I don't see a world where he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year. And the Spurs got talent around them. They continue to add through the draft. And I think now this year, maybe they make a run at the playoffs and start establishing that true core that they're going to have. Stephon Castle's pretty nice. Dylan Harper, they just drafted, and now they got De'Aaron Fox there as well. So we'll see. Maybe this year's just a developmental year for Dylan Harper to learn. And maybe next year they do a trade where they, move Fox or something if Harper shows that he can run the point guard show. So we'll see. But that's all 30 teams. This was fun. Right over 28 minutes. So I did about a minute per team. That's perfect. That's what I was hoping to do, right around there. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what team you're most excited about. What did you agree with me? Did you not agree with some of my takes? But Trae Young, I think, was my favorite. Let me know what your favorite is. But that was a fun one. And we'll keep talking NBA as the season approaches. I can't wait. Basketball in full swing and football in full swing is the best time of year for me. So I'm super excited, and I hope you are too. And we'll talk tomorrow and talk about some NFL picks as week 4 continues in the NFL.